Yeah, might hit 90 again today. Good stuff. All right, well, I love Tuesdays at 8:05 because we get to do the CEO Spotlight brought to you by Vaaler Insurance, and it's a chance for us each week to learn about a great local company here and talk to the leader of that organization to find out what they're doing to build their company, take care of their work team, all those good things. And we're very thankful to have in studio with us this morning Bruce Tellefson, and Bruce is the president and CEO of Valley Premier Bank. Bruce, welcome to the studio. Thank you for coming in. Great to see you. I'll have you pull that microphone up right close to your chin so we can hear you nice and clear.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
You got to appreciate you making some time. We know that mornings getting going in the day at the very important time of day, so we know that giving up a little bit of time in the morning is not always an easy thing to do, so we appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about Valley Premier Bank. Tell us what you do and how you got your start and a little bit of the history of the organization, if you would.
You bet. Well, Valley Premier Bank, I like to call it it's a true locally based community bank, very traditional in what we do. We raise deposits locally, and we lend that same money out locally. We were chartered 127 years ago in Hawley, Minnesota, and as State Bank of Hawley. We changed the name to Valley Premier Bank 5 years ago to really reflect that we also have a Moorhead office. The Moorhead office has been there for 25 years, and so very, very much a traditional community bank.
So the local landscape is filled with banks. It seems like there's a bank on every street corner right now. Tell us about what makes you different. Why would someone want to come to Valley Premier instead of maybe one of the other banks in the community? What are your differentiators, would you say?
Sure. Well, I know it's cliche, but it's the people. We have I should back up one step. The bank is an employee stock ownership plan, so the employees own the majority of the bank. We have very loyal and long tenured employees, and so if you come and you bank with us, you're going to see the same people. We're going to get to know you. The turnover is very minimal. And people really like that when we can get to know them, they can get to know us. And I think it results in better customer service.
So you have locations in the metro. You've got at least one in Moorhead. Do you have others in the metro area?
Nope, just our main office in Hawley where our operations is set up. And then we have a South Moorhead location on 30th Avenue. Down from Speakeasy, east of Speakeasy.
Okay. So what % of your business would you say comes from the Hawley branch, and then what from the Moorhead branch? Is it 50-50 or a little more one or the other?
It is very close to 50-50. We've got very loyal customers in both locations.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you build a team. I would think in banking, since there is so much competition, there's banks, there's credit unions, it would be easy to lose employees to other banks if they see, they do a nice job at Valley Premier of training their people and steal them away and that kind of thing. What do you do to create a good team environment, a great work situation, so when you do find those good employees, you can hang on to them as long as possible?
Sure. Well, again, right back to the ESOP, we give them meaningful ownership. By sticking around, they can build a very meaningful ownership, a great retirement plan, and they see that, and I think they really appreciate that.
Overall, in banking right now, what are some of the issues in the industry? What are all banks really facing right now as things that I don't want to say keep you up at night, but things that you have to figure out as you lead a banking institution?
Sure. Well, interest rates have gone up and down, and they're very low still right now, but they were going to be going up this year, and instead they're going down. We're trying to manage that interest rate risk, but we're just very fortunate to be doing business in Clay County. The people in these areas, the borrowers that we have, that just they pay back their loans.
We're pretty good about that. Even when we had the mortgage crash of the late 2000s, it seemed like here people did okay. We didn't really want those weird loan products anyway, and we tend to be folks who follow our commitments and pay back our loans. It's a different place, isn't it, to lend? Because of that, is it easy sometimes to get a little overconfident maybe?
Well, I'm sure it could, but in the last 30 years that I'm aware of it, it's been obvious that there's a work ethic, there's a commitment to paying your bills that I haven't seen fluctuate.
There are banks here that are the Wells Fargos, the U.S. banks, kind of the mega banks, if you will, the good regional banks here, the Gate Cities, the Bells, the Visions. There's First Internationals. There's so many good banks here. What is Valley Premier's role as you see it in the landscape there? Where do you fit, and what niches might you say that you have, Bruce?
Well, in the Holly area, we're the locally owned community bank. We're there and have been there, as I said, 127 years. So that's our niche out in Holly. In Moorhead, we have all the loan products, all the deposit products, but we have kind of a small business niche. There's small business owners that really appreciate coming in, seeing the same loan officer every year when they come in. We understand their business, and we're looking at it from the long haul.
Tell me a little bit about what you see the future might be for Valley Premier. Do you hope to have 12 branches in the next 20 years? Do you hope to have 2 really good ones? What does the future look like, do you think, as far as your plans for the future?
Sure. Well, we all, I think, look to grow and maximize what we can do. We would look to potentially purchase another small community bank. I think that's more of our niche than to have a bunch of branches in the metro area. I think we do the community banking thing very, very well, and so that's the way we would look to grow.
So you might buy a bank in Foston or Lake Park or something like that, rather than, hey, West Fargo's on the grow, let's try to be over there. That might fit the DNA a little bit better.
Absolutely. Yep, I think that loyal community customer, I think they're going to continue to need it. The small community banks have been disappearing. They've been merging, and I think we could be a good player in that.
How do you try to grow your business within the banks that you have already? Do you have bankers that are out trying to, hey, this new development is going up, or this store is being built, let's try to get involved there? Or is it going after some of the personal lines? How do you try to grow the amount of business? You said you're a growth-minded company. How do you try to do that? What are some of your target areas for trying to acquire new business?
Sure. Well, being involved in the community, being known out in the community, we do have loan officers and customer service people who are involved in the communities, and they're out talking to people and looking for opportunities, letting people know the Valley Premier Bank story. And so I think that's the main way we make calls and let them know who we are, and opportunities like this to let people know who we are.
How have you grown over, say, the last 5 to 10 years or so in whatever metrics that you use? Is it assets under your management? Is it employees? Is it how do you measure in your case, as you take a look at the different metrics you have? What do you think is the most important one to talk about the scale and the scope that you have as a bank?
Well, I think banks do measure themselves by total assets or total deposits or total loans, or all 3 of those. And since we branched into Moorhead, we've had exponential growth. And Holly is a city on the grow. There's houses going up. There's construction loans to be done, and so we've been very fortunate to be in 2 communities like Moorhead and Holly that are really on the grow, both of them.
Sounds great. Well, it sounds like, over the past 5-10 years, and when you say exponential, that's a good number. So how do you hope to keep that going? What's going to be the secret for you to continue that growth pattern, do you think?
Well, again, our major growth, I think, would be, you've mentioned the competition in the metro area, and we have good competition in Holly. But I think the major growth would come from an acquisition or a branch into another community. But just continuing to do what we do, get out, let people know who we are and what we do.
Tell me about your leadership style. Every CEO, every president of an organization has some way they want to connect with their people, they want to promote the brand. When you think about leadership, what comes to your mind as things that are important to you?
Sure. Well, it's easy when you have 29 employees and 7 of those are part-time to try to connect individually, and I'm in both locations every week, and so I would say it's a pretty hands-on. We have a management team. So I have an office manager, chief credit officer in the Holly location, as well as a chief operating officer and a senior investment officer in the Holly location. So there's a 3-person team that really operates on a day-to-day basis. And with 2 locations, I think that's really helpful.
Is there are there things that some banks struggle to do with culture and team spirit within the organization that you've been able to do that you think gives you a competitive advantage with your employees and bringing in new people possibly?
Well, we're still small enough to have a single Christmas party. We know the spouses, we know the children. We have a single, midsummer picnic and that type of party for the families. And so I think that's, it's just very helpful. And everybody talks about a family culture, but it's a lot easier when you have less than 30 employees and you really get to know each other.
Sure. Those are the questions I had for you. Anything that you want to talk about with Valley Premier that I might not think to ask you about? Is some business niche that you have or an area of growth or something like that you think might be interesting for folks to know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. I think that we need to get the word out, let people know that we are employee owned, that they can come and find, a lot of people in this area grew up in a small town. They had their hometown bank. We still exist. We're right there. We have the technology, the internet banking, the mobile banking, the make a deposit on your phone. You can do all of those things, but you can come in and still find that hometown community bank where the employees are the owners.
Sounds like you've given that talk a few times. That rolled off your tongue pretty smooth there, young fellow.
Yeah, no, that is our story, and we're glad to tell it.
Bruce, it's been great to have you here. Thank you for coming in to share your story. If people want to find out more about your company, where might they go online to learn more about you?
ValleyPremierBank.com.
Very simple, ValleyPremierBank.com. Bruce Tellefson, thank you for coming in today. Great to meet you and continued success.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
You got it. 8:19 on the Need to Know Morning Show. That is the CEO Spotlight brought to you by Vaaler Insurance. When it comes to business and protecting your business, nobody beats Vaaler. Vaaler's Insurance Employee Benefits Division specializes in assisting and taking pressure off of your HR staff so they can focus on other tasks. They offer employer solutions, HR assistance, and employee education. They provide strong